Well, is it gonna work? There we go. Now I'm just waiting on the other thing to work. Let me keep you like right there actually. So I'll do one of these. Oh. Welcome in, welcome in. There we go, chat's working finally. Come on. Alright, I got it. Alright. Well, I guess not. Hold on. What the heck? There we go. There we go. It's working. I'm getting stuff to work. It's just taking a second. How's everyone been doing? Hopefully everyone's been having a good day. Well, whatever, yeah, good day. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you? How are we all doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? Awesome. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Welcome in. How am I doing? I'm doing well. How are you? You can if you want to. If you wish to donate, you can. This stuff's in the description. You don't have to, but you can. You can ask for a 2-card. But donations aren't required. They are appreciative though. Yeah, who's interested in a 2-card? It's what I'm doing again today. That's my notepad, right? Yes, it is. Awesome. I'm gonna keep that there. So I'm gonna need that for tomorrow. Yeah, I can keep you on that side. Anyone need a 2-card or have anything they want to talk about? I don't really have anything on my mind again. Awesome. All right. What do you want in your reading on? Anything in specific or just a general? Also, what tattoo are you getting? Flames and fear. Yeah, I can get you for the reading. Let me see, it's over here again. Oh, it's up here still. All right, nice. Well, what the hell just opened? What is that? Oh, hold on. Exclude. Ensure cosmic. What do you want the reading about? Yeah, let me get your Picassi. So right now, your first card is the Knight of Pentacles upright. That's showing that things are moving on the physical to enter a new phase, which would be the Wands again. You're in the transitional phases. Things are moving on around you. So you are on the right path. Things are just in this forward moving motion. Needing to keep up with this speed is kind of all you're needing to do. And to do that is just to follow your heart, reading the realm, resting when it's time to rest, and moving when you're trying to move. And for the second card, yeah, with the Four of Swords reverse, definitely keep an eye out for thoughts, because if you might be overthinking about things, which is making you feel like you're not on your path, or there could be certain things that are happening right now on your path that might be a bit different than you expected them to be, like things falling apart or crumbling. But that's just because new things are moving forward for you in that sense. What else is going on for you, Aussie? And yeah, Cassandra, I can get you too. Where is the animal deck at? Here it is. No worries, I got you. Oh, Cosmic, that was for Aussie. You didn't say what you wanted your reading about. Yeah, it was the Four of Swords reverse. Let me see here. What is that? So, Cassandra, yours is Coyote Playfulness. This is a reminder to not take things too seriously and bring a more balance between wisdom and playfulness. You might need to lighten up about a matter that's been on your mind for a while. And Armadillo, which is protection. You are entering a phase where, in order for you to be in alignment with your intentions and co-create your best life, you may have to be discerning and say no to many things that have been holding you back in the past. That's your two animal cards. I got you, no worries. I got you. Look at all the decks out here, actually. Well, you don't need to pay for the two cards. You just need to tell me what you want the reading about. Donations aren't required, but they are appreciated. So, and if you just give me what you want the reading about, I can get you. Well, Cat, my bad, because you said your name's Cat, my bad. I'll reread. Well, I need to know what you want the reading on, Cosmic. I can't, like, do that. In general energy, no, not today. I'm not doing that. General energy, like, for collective, not gonna do it. If you're asking, like, for an actual, like, two card, then yeah. But I need, like, specifics, because you just saying general tarot doesn't really tell me anything other than, like, doing a general reading. 2 cards on your book. What do you mean by that? I need details. What do you mean by that? But yeah, if you're wanting to donate, the donation things are in the pin. Or you could do that as well. Thank you, Knight. Thank you, Aussie. I don't know why I said Knight. It's just there in the chat, excuse me. But thank you, Aussie. I appreciate love that. Wait, what? Oh, having my story written. I still don't know what you mean by that. I can't really do a reading on that because it doesn't really make sense. Be a success. You can't get that answer from tarot. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. So, wrong person. Remember that tarot is a tool for connecting you to your 2 twins inside of you, the feminine and the masculine elements. You get energy check? Yeah, I got you, Steven. Danny, I don't do readings on that because all that is just a huge spiritual scam. So I don't do readings like that. Those are just scams and ways to keep you stuck in a loop that you won't be able to break out of. So, unfortunately, I'm the wrong person to ask that question to. Stephen, your cards are the 2 of Pentacles. Right now, you might be trying to find a balance between 2 things that have manifested on the physical, whether this is 2 options between things or 2 opportunities, or however. There's a balancing that's happening right now. This even could just be a balance between you and the physical world that you're trying to obtain. But pay attention to your feelings at this time. Notice if they're being generated by thoughts or if they're being generated by the divine at this time. Regardless, things are shaking because you're going through a rebirth. There's a change. There's a need to step into new skin to move forward. With the white horse, that is again the masculine force. So moving forward with this masculine energy is going to help you do that. But you're needing to push through this uncomfortability, this uncomfortable time, or confusing time, however it is, so that you can go through this rebirth, because things around you are probably going to be falling apart. But it's just to allow new to come in for you. And thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was gonna make a video for it, but it was super short. So I was like, I'm not gonna make a whole video about that. I can just put it in the shorts. It's easier that way. But yeah, Julia, I can get you one. I can get you one. Hey, Mark, welcome in. Oh shit. So Julia, your first card is the 6 of Cups. Right now, You're in this energy where you're needing to come back to that heart space and reconnect and reunite with it. You might have just had a mistake happen, gone through something that didn't quite work out in a certain way, and you're kind of just sitting back wondering what could have went differently, or thinking about a situation in the past where something of that nature happened. And right now, you're just being called to be more forgiving on yourself. Release a lot of that burdens you have, release a lot of that guilt that you have, because that's what's keeping you from moving past. Like, there's this blocked thought. It might be a thought that you've been pushing back down inside of you as well, because you're not wanting to think about it at this time. But there's something that needs to be healed within that aspect. There's something that needs to be brought up, because that disconnect from that thought of whatever this might be, is kind of blocking things. This could even be you wanting to reunite with someone, or feeling the need to do that, to say something, or like an unfinished words type thing. But really think about that situation and alchemize it for your highest good, because it's keeping some form of thought form stuck. It's keeping some like repetitive theme in the mind. But all in all, it's just asking for some shadow work, really. I got you, Julia. No worries. Dark Mark. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome in. Alright, anyone need my god, let me speak. Does anyone need 2-card pulls, or have anything they want to talk about? We're gonna be here for a little while. Let's see. Well, that's fun. Oh, I fixed it. Yeah. I'm trying to think. And thank you, Julia. I appreciate that. Yeah, the birds. They're always tweeting. They go off like almost all day. I love it. Because where I used to live, all the birds would always do that, so it's just a nice little like reminder of the past. Some good nostalgia. Yeah, I love birds. We have like 3 or 4 crows that kind of stay around here, but I don't see them. I don't see them all the time, but I'll see them like sometimes. It's very interesting. I love crows. Alchemy of the current spiritual administration. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing with the whole tarot, because tarot is the tool to use to connect back to the old ways of life, the old ways of being, where we are fully connected to the divine in itself. It's just difficult to get that message out when not many people are on the train. Yet, at least, it's spreading, but with its own time. And we'll come in. But really, just that's how things are going right now. Is going back to the old way, which is really good, especially for the spiritual nature of self. Remembering what that's actually like. Because the ancients knew what they were doing. They had it down pat. But really, the only way to alchemize that is just by being open and receptive to new wisdom, to new knowledge. Not necessarily new, but well, it's old, but it's new to those that like aren't aware or hearing of things of such nature. Because a lot of like modern day spirituality is just more like a fear thing than like an actual spiritual practice. Because it's like a lot of people who get into spirituality do it as like a fear, or they're doing it with the intention of like moving around religion, which is still like an impure practice to have like those types of intentions if you're going to be more spiritual, which is just moving more with your spirit. So I don't know, a lot of it's like an egoic mask. It's really weird the way modern spiritualization has like become, because it's become more externalized than internalized somehow. um so it's just so bizarre to talk about, because it's like how do people as spiritualists not understand the amount of like spirit they're putting out, and the spirit of misfortune coming from someone's mouth, no matter how the ego feels about it, is still misfortune. And it's like people are literally spreading around demons and low vibrational entities and shit, and they don't even realize it, because it just, it's like, oh well, they deserve that. Well, that's scapegoat. That's egoic. I mean, yeah, they everyone signs up for everything, but for you to then play God and say that they deserve it, and to imply that it had to have happened to them by your say, like, I don't know, you kind of, if we're really going to talk about it, you're swaying that moral compass pretty heavily on that degree. But that comes from like an unhealed power play issue, where like you feel underpowered by certain things. So then you have to have power over the things that made you feel that way. And it's like it's a weird like trauma loophole that a lot of people get stuck in as well with it. There's a lot of ways we could talk about that. But it's just bizarre. It's so bizarre. And then like everyone's like wondering why there's so much spiritual warfare going on. It's because like the war is in within, and a lot of people are still fighting themselves, and they're not realizing it. Welcome in, welcome in. I don't know. It's just weird where people go into spirituality thinking that it's like an easy thing, when really taking the dive into spirituality, which is the true actuality of life, um, it it doesn't get easier. In fact, gets harder because you're more aware of what's going on. Your intentions mean more. Your actions moving forward, whether it's conscious or unconscious, have meaning behind it. That's allowing it to move forward. It's all a game of if you're using it for the right or not, and the what determines the right is if you're listening to your heart or if you're listening to your rational mind. It's a game. It's a whole like chess puzzle game. Yeah, the spiritual path is I don't oh like I've met a lot of people um that think spirituality is like an easy thing. It's not. It it tests you. And it's not like those tests wouldn't happen. It's just now that you're recognizing more of your spiritual self and more of the invisible part of you, you now have to make those invisible parts visible, at least to yourself, um, so you can overcome what they're trying to show you. It's a whole like science. Why did that happen? No, turn back on. Yeah, all judgment that you place is you judging really yourself. For you to have judgment on anyone is just like your own observation of your own feelings towards something that has nothing to do with anything else. It's all circumstantial, unfortunately. Well, it's fortunately that it's all circumstantial, but it's like unfortunate because not many people understand that it is a circumstance and not just a um not a coincidence, but like a I don't know like blaming point for lack of a better term because I've already forgot what I was trying to say thinking about it. I don't know, but it's important. Like whatever you see is what you are gonna feel because sight is a sense and senses is just touching. So it's just I don't know. It's interesting. I'm just like multitasking right now, trying to get things to work, and it's just confusing why it's not working. I would like for it to work. And it says it is, but I guess it's not, which is fine. I mean, I'm confused. I guess it's working. I don't know what the hell's going on. YouTube just broke on my laptop, and I'm just very confused and like stuck looking at it because I'm really I don't get what's going on. But it's fine now, I think. I don't know what the hell is going on. That's crazy. I've never had YouTube do that before, so I'm kind of just running with it. Welcome in, welcome in. I don't know. Anytime I talk about spirituality, I always get sucked down like 3 different loopholes, or rabbit holes, I mean, that I just can't look away from once like noticing them. Yeah, tarot's a good tool. It's just not used right by people. Tarot is a tool to tell you how to connect to yourself, to your heart space, and know what your heart space and your mind are trying to do. And it's also connecting you closer to source, or to God, or to your destiny, showing you how to get on your destined path. It doesn't talk about anyone external. It talks about everything internal. It's just people don't know how to read tarot, unfortunately. Well, they know how to read it the European way, which was just a scam ran that by the gypsies so they could keep the cards. And eventually, here soon, the people who aren't reading tarot right aren't going to be like a big worry, just based off of like of things I can't talk about right now. But I don't know. I'm very happy to see like I have like a lot of like projects running right now in the background. So it's very interesting to see like just the pieces move together. I need to do that. That's right. Holy shit. I completely forgot. I'm gonna have a very interesting meditation music up. Um, Here soon. I haven't done anything like this before, but I'm gonna try it. It's gonna be very interesting. Yeah, well, that always happens. I talk about things, and sometimes I get disconnected from the internet, or sometimes the stream's audio just gets really messy. For no particular reason. Definitely not agents being in the chat because they know it's happening on their platforms and they don't want that to be out there or anything. Not at all. But you know, we live, we learn. We live, we learn. But yeah, we did enter new timeline. The eclipse is definitely doing that. It's the beginning of the end of the past timeline, basically, if you want to talk about it that way, which is why a lot of things are falling apart. Nah, it's the man, because the technology can process it. It has crystals in it. It can handle all of it. It's the man that's doing things, the actual flesh. But that's controlled by the spirit. So if we're really gonna talk about it, it's the spirit of the man. It's the spirit of the man whose hand is moving the whatever the fuck's, blocking whatever in that sense. Audio jump to suicide agents. Dude, it's a thing. I'll never think it's not funny. Your whole body's been buzzing all day. I've been having very, very vivid dreams the past however long. Very, very vivid dreams. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of just going back to the spiritual topic. It's very weird. There's like key points that I don't get, and I don't know. The term spiritual is definitely a fad in mainstream at this point. It's been removed so far from the actual meaning. Am I actively aware during them? During what? Yeah, the masks are falling off of a lot of individuals. A lot of truth. Dreams. Depends on what you mean by aware. Like, remembering the dream, or how? Because what you experience is just flashes of light through memory. Um, that your subconscious is like telling you. So it's like depending on how aware you are is how much of your dream you'll really remember. But if you're asking me personally, I remember a lot of my dreams. I remember like a lot of them, almost too many. Welcome in, Daniel. Welcome in. That's funny. I didn't know I could make polls. I might use that for something later. That's funny. If we ever bump into a question, we'll have the polls that dictate it. Is it unblockable? What do you mean by that? Honestly, what do you mean by that? Unblocking what and reclaim what fully? Uh, like just not having dreams, or trying to remember your dreams in the when you have them. Well, you just need to, you know, however you block them, do the inverse. That's really all you have to do to really unblock the dreams, if that's what you're really asking. Is whatever you did to block them out, do the inverse of it. Or say to yourself as you're going to sleep when your brain's entering like theta mode and stuff, that you will remember your dreams. So I'll go for it. Gotcha, no worries. No worries. But yeah, if those don't work, Mugroot tea or like Blue Lotus will help you. There's a few sigils that you can use to help remember dreams. I'll take it. Did not expect that, but you know what? We roll with it. I'm just pulling 2 cards on myself at this point. I'm curious. I want to know what comes out. I haven't. Well, I mean, I pulled my cards this rising, but I haven't pulled them any since. My 2, yeah, sure, Mark, I got you. From which one? The tarot, the angel deck, the animal, or the shadow? Let's see. Ow. Animals, I got you. Let's see here. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually. But yeah, I got your animal cards now. I got your animals, Mark. Yeah, I don't rest that much. Yeah, my pool's good. The shadow was definitely reimbursing something that I already am in the process of removing. But the angel deck was very interesting. And I forgot what the tarot had. Which is awful, but I did. But Mark, let's get your. Why did I do that? Hold on. I was shuffling the cards and I decided to put them down. I do not know why. Anyway, Mark, let's get your animal cards. I'm sorry. God dang. I'm not in it to win it today or something. That's all right. I guess you get 3 because they just flew out like that, so we'll go with it. But first is Hedgehog Trust. This is a reminder that even if you feel others don't understand or get what you're doing, it's no excuse to curl up and hide. You may need a little bit of space right now, but the world needs your gifts. You are more than worthy. Inner Wolf, which is strength. You may be facing a challenge you feel less than prepared for. This is a reminder that you have all the tools in your spiritual treasure chest and to handle this effectively. Take a step back and try to take a look at things with fresh eyes. And Cat, which is independence. You are being encouraged to develop a balance between independence and time of togetherness. This also indicates that you greatly benefit from a profound journey of the self-discovery. Learn to enjoy time spent with yourself. Well, those are your animal cards. 3 flew out, so I was just going to take 3. I just felt like it needed to happen. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome in. And the tarot, yeah, sure. What do you need to pull on? I got you, Mark. Love you as well. Your job? What about your job? And I'll get it. Will you get along with your new person? I mean, I can't read about how you're gonna be involved with them, but I can read about you and why that individual's connecting to you, I guess, if you're looking for that. But you'll all, if, tarot's just gonna tell you about yourself, so I don't. Yeah, I know Job. Perfect. Okay, I got you. I got you. So why is this person being attracted towards? Why is this person being attracted towards? So your first card is the Queen of Swords. There is a thought that has been given nurturing, a thought that has been forming out. I'm going to need the second card to get more of the information for that. But really with the Queen of Swords, it's talking about the thoughts of this individual while they're there, maybe already springing up. This also might be to make more thoughts apparent for you. If you've been trying to work through something, they're almost going to be there to help you work through that. And not really in a direct way with the Queen of Swords. It's more of an indirect way. But it's going to be like a subconscious pickup. But yeah, with the Six of Pentacles even coming out after that, it's just giving back energy. There's something that you've been lacking, or something that you've been trying to work on, that you're receiving that help for, that receiving that that hand to help you through that with, almost. If it's related to trauma, then they might have the similar trauma and help you through that. Or there'll be someone to help relieve certain types of blockages. But they are coming to keep the mindset clear, to start a new mindset. So this could even do with trust issues with individuals as well, rebuilding that flame internally, and making it easier to connect to others as well. Things of that nature. And yeah, I can get you, Stephanie. I got you. Got you, Nick. So Stephanie, right now with the Seven of Pentacles, there's something that you might have started, whether this is like some form of work or some form of forward movement that hasn't been thought about with the divine. You may be moving without like divine force at this time, which is why it's feeling a bit harder for you. So definitely take a look at what's moving a bit slower or rougher within your area, within your life, and those are the areas that the divine needs to step in with, and you communicate with the divine to move forward through. Yeah, with the Four of Cups, even this is definitely a time for meditation to see where you're landing at. Basically, things around you that aren't moving again smoothly are because they're moving the forward without any form of divine support. It's moving more of like a fleshly matter. So, be careful of thinking that you're running out of time. Be careful of being swayed by outly appearances at this time when working on whatever you're working on, so you can allow more of the divine to actually move through and help you, because the divine is handing you a cup to cleanse yourself, handing you something to really elevate you for past the situation, but you may be getting distracted by old ways or by things on the physical that are stirring up your thoughts and creating feelings that aren't desirable at this time. So pay close attention to that. And sure, Shrine, what do you need the reading on? And I'll get you. Oh. Well, it went the computer. It's back. Awesome. Ancestor message. No, you can't get that with tarot. So did it snow Kentucky? It did not snow here. It's been raining, but no snow. Tarot is a tool to tell you about you and yourself and the connection that you have with the divine within your individual self. Not for like ancestor messages and stuff. Bad snow in Michigan. It's snowing everywhere. I forgot where my one friend lived, but it was snowing where she lived as well. Is your soulmate coming? I mean, tarot's not for future predictions either. So I wouldn't really be able to tell you that either. How do you get one? You just tell me what you went to reading to be about, and I'll get to you. Donations aren't necessary, but they are appreciated loved. In general, I'll get you for general. Dust the nose off, nice. What is going on with this? It's always good to keep the gnomes clean. Gnomes are really good for energy protection. Here. Shrine, here's your general. You have Justice out. So with Justice being out here, this is a card of balance. A lot of people say that justice means that something's working in your favor. This is more of a balance. Things are balancing out. Things are becoming more ruly within your favor. So if you've been experiencing imbalances in certain aspects of your life, expect that to balance out here soon. There's a crowning thought that is also arriving. Excuse me. So pay attention to your feelings. And move forward with that intention of moving forward. Even here with the Ace of Swords coming out, again, there's this crowning thought that's coming forth. So this could be a new venture, but whatever has been cultivating internally within you, you're basically really being given a green light. Just don't move off of impractical stances. Like really pay attention to your feeling state. And make sure that you don't jump to the quickest solution for things. Really sit back and be in a meditative mode, but things are balancing out. So if you've been in this morally conflicting situation, or just stagnancy within things, expect that to sneak in out here soon. You'll be getting that thought form to you soon to help you push past that opportunity. Make a gnome deck? Maybe. That'd be interesting. Well, the divine's always going to be around you. Anyone that says the divine's not around you is lying. They don't know how the divine works. The divine is always around you. And I got you, Shrine. The divine is always around you. So, if you're not feeling like the divine's around you, it's because you're disconnected from your heart space. Because that's where the divine resides. So I can get a reading for how to focus more on that heart space and what's keeping that blocked. So the first card is the Ace of Swords, reverse. So the Ace of Swords reverse talks about uncrowned thoughts, or thoughts that are being created by itself, and it's using the fueling from the feelings to create unfavorable events. You might be going through a time of fate, disillusion, untruth as well, where you're feeling like it's like a discombobulation, not having clear thinking, not having a clear mind, not seeing things as pure as they are. And this is what's leading to you with this disconnect of the divine. There's a more mind space that you're in rather than a heart space. So taking time for meditation, taking time to see what thoughts you're having and where they're coming from. Why are they being fueled in these ways? Why are these certain thoughts popping up during certain situations? Working through those types of issues right now would be very beneficial for you to connect back to that heart space, as well as just having more innocence, having more vulnerability around with you at this time is also going to help you. So again, like, focus more on the feminine element, the more of the feeling, more of the receptivity at this time. Whatever you're receiving, allow it to come to you so you can digest and see what it's trying to show you. Because if things are feeling restricted, it's because there's a part of you that's restricting that forward movement. A couple years ago. That was just last year. But, I've only been doing tarot for a year. I don't know. I never was at a park doing readings. So you got me confused with someone else. The sauna reads. Yeah, the sauna readings were fun. That was an error. Yeah, I get confused by a lot of people. I had people calling me other readers' names at some point, which is really weird. I don't know why that happened, but it did. No, I was never in a park. That wasn't a park. That was outside the apartments. I was just in a gazebo. I never did readings in a park. But you're right about the lights flickering and stuff. But like I've never, yeah, I've just never done readings at the park. I never done that, and that was only like a year ago. Not even a year ago, actually. Whoa, I messed up. Hmm. Yeah, I miss doing the night readings in the rain. Those were nice. But narcissist manipulation situation. Uh, Not from an external standpoint, not really. Unless you're just wanting advice on it in general, not a reading on it, sure. But if you're wanting a reading on it, then it wouldn't be much help to ask about it externally. But we can attempt. Okay. Well, can we know more about the situation to give more advice so we know like uh how to go about this? Because the full true way of really working with that, I have the answer to, but it's not always digestible for people. Uh, well, I don't know. For me personally, the way I'm looking at it is you really have to look at the labels that you're putting on an individual. Because if you're putting that label on an individual, you're also seeing it from a standpoint of that energy, because you're the one wearing those lenses. Um, because the term narcissist isn't really even used correctly. It's just a label of the two symptoms of being a sociopath or a psychopath and being on that spectrum. Um, but if you are dealing with an individual that's not listening to you and slandering you, it's always best to remove yourself from that situation. Or a family member. Um, Seeing seeing it from that angle with family, um, it's the labeling that kind of keeps you attached again. Like you can do cord cuttings all night long, right, and eventually remove it. But that individualistic trauma that you share with that individual won't go away until you release the stature. Like if it was a mom or dad or brother or sister, they're in your mind, in your energetic field, they have specific locations that they would go in based off their actions and based off how you see other people with those types of like family members, whether it's in sitcoms, cartoons, however, right? And it's all just an observation of that. So if the trauma is between like your parents, they're going to be a lot closer to you in some regions and further away from other reasons. Um, your husband, my boyfriend. So it's probably okay. So that's kind of tied to two things, but let me think. Let me think before I start speaking again. And I appreciate the thumbs up. Thank you for that. Very possessive. Cord cuttings will help. Working with your sacral chakra will also work. But removing like that the remembering that like the family position that they have is just a title that is attached to the physical. Remembering that it's all in the sense of a spiritual notion, and really removing the flesh from the equation, because it's not the flesh that you're not liking, it's the actions behind it, and those actions are fueled by that spirit. So find out how that spirit's entangling itself within you, what actions it's done that repeat within like past events or current events, however, and not seeing it from like this person did this to me, and seeing it more of I don't like when this happens, and coming to terms with it, with that notion, so that whenever individuals in the flesh begins to show in that aspect again, it's not directly attached to that person. A lot of times when you have issues that last long, it's because you're attached to the flesh, and the mention of that flesh's name or the label of the label, right, is going to irritate you. um it's like the label of the label basically is like the fucking like Big Mac from McDonald's, right? It's the Big Mac's the one label for their hamburger, and then McDonald's is the overseeing company, the entity for it, right? um all that. So really just seeing it from that level, um and detaching it from the flesh can it can vary in difficulty for people, for differences in within people. um but just seeing it as you don't like actions, it's not that that one in particular person did it, it's you don't like that action. That particular individual might have done something in their in the way that you perceive them that irritated you based off of like your connection to them, but it's never that flesh's fault, because it's that connection that you attach to them, um that allowed that to go the happen that way. It's like the implication of like a friend doing something and a complete stranger doing something. The fact that if it's a friend doing it, some people would like have more slack because, oh, I know who they are. But if a complete stranger did it, it would involve a more like sporadic, like, oh, why the hell did you do that type of reaction, simply just based off of like you knowing someone or not. But that's like a that's psychology. That's psychology lesson for you. But seeing it from that type of perspective really does help, because when you realize it's just a bunch of actions that are going around, you end up really just seeing who you are, and that it's not about like individuals, it's just about how close you get with people. And no matter how close you get with someone, you'll never fully be transparent, despite wanting to. You felt guilty for walking away. Why did you feel guilty? Uh, what makes you feel guilt for walking away? You know what I mean? Like why do you feel guilty for walking your own path? I'll ask you in that way. Exactly. Always. Never like because he's old and alone. I can get that. I understand that. Um, I'm not gonna just say the same thing that I said earlier. I'm gonna find a better way to talk about this, obviously. Because I don't like hopping out like that. So let me think for a second. It, I'm gonna continue by asking more questions, almost to kind of like walk through it even more. You know what I mean? But is it because like did you spend a lot of time with them, or have you always been like restrictive of the time, or is it just like the guilt being you didn't get to have the moments that you were desiring with the individual that kind of resides as like a guilt in the back of the mind where it's like I didn't get to do this, so I can't, you know what I mean? Uh, I guess it's FOMO is what it would be, like a type of like FOMO, but I guess it would be FOMO. I'm trying to find a good way to explain it, and I'm probably explaining it well. I'm just overthinking, as usual. But really, like getting down to that standpoint of like seeing um, why the age and the status of them is causing that guilt. Um, mm, I get that. You're fine, Deanne. It's okay. No worries. Okay. It might be an attachment to the the environment that it used to be, you know what I mean? It's not that you miss the individual, it's that the familiarity is no longer there. It's like it's that, you know what I mean? Like we're our brains work off patterns. We're very good at like remembering patterns and stuff. Like that's how we're operating. And whenever we get attached to a certain pattern, no matter if it's deemed good or bad, however, um, if it's missing, we'll end up having like a lack. It's not even a real lack; it's like a fake lack that you end up having, um, and you don't really, um, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. My brain just exploded after saying that. I'm sorry. Yeah, trauma grief work, but it's like that lacking of the pattern. It could just be a missing of that physical stature. So doing something within your realm around you to kind of fill in that time is always best. Yeah, it will just take time to truly feel better. Allow yourself to walk through it the way that you need to. Don't feel like you need to hide things or to rush things. Really just allow yourself to open up yourself and not be restrictive on like how you actually feel. Don't say that being in one place is a bad thing or negative energy or whatever. You know what I mean? because it's positive. It's good to feel whenever you feel your, however it is, like anger, regret, however, just allow yourself to feel it. Don't get stuck in the loop, but feel it enough to learn from it and then release it. Because all feelings come to you so they can be felt, um, not to be ignored. When you ignore them, they just end up solidifying inside of you. And then they all come out as one, just a big energy burst. You know, so being very aware of that. But give yourself time. Don't rush things. Of course, no worries. Glad we were able to help. We always do what we can over here. We always do. I got you. No worries. Yeah, I probably should do that because I don't remember when I got it. No, I do. Or was that from... That was from that. Never mind. My brain's not working. Always. Yeah, we're always transmuting energy at all times. And that's something that we have to like always understand is even in the moments of nothing happening, it's only happening because there's a part of you allowing it to happen. You know, and that's not to like, you know, be a weird wormhole to go down, but it it shows the action of inaction a lot. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, there's a way to identify the energy, even with trauma, because all trauma is the attachment to the flesh. So once you get a grip on that, then you can then focus on the feeling aspect of this individual is popping up because this feeling is coming up, and when this individual did this thing to me and this feeling occurred, this action happened, and this feeling occurred inside of me, this feeling made me think of this main root. And when you get to that main root problem, then you can start seeing where that trauma relies, and then you'll become seeing where, oh, like you might say this so and so reminds me of my sister, and the only reason why they remind you of your sister is because of a specific action that they did that your sister also did. And when you get back to the root of it, you can see what it made you initially feel. Like being told to shut up for the first time, right? Made you feel unworthy to be heard. So now, whenever someone says that to you, you end up holding a grudge against them, and it's all rooted from that feeling of unworthiness to speak, which is a sacral chakra and a throat chakra blockage. But that's how we break things down. That's shadow work and root work. Um, Basically, in totality, it doesn't take that long to really explain it if you know what you're doing. Exactly, you communicate with it. Because that's all it's there to show you. It's there to show you things. It's there to inform you. It's there to say, hey, this is why you don't like this. And the more you ignore it, the more I have to make myself present. And it's not because I'm trying to agitate you with this issue and make you feel like you deserve to be punished, but you're not grasping the full message that I'm trying to send you. So we end up going through these cycles between ourselves, manifesting events on the external to remind us of things. And it happens, if we learn the lesson each time, it gets lesser and lesser until it's no longer a thing or that we remember. That made us upset. It might be the only memory that we might have is, oh yeah, that used to make me mad, but not anymore, because you won't have that programming in you anymore. But it's always going to happen to you, and if you keep ignoring the lesson and keep failing, it's going to get worse and worse. And that doesn't mean things are going to get more violent externally. It just means things are going to become more corrupt internally, which could then spread externally. Most likely will over time, just how it is. But it that's why people end up in cycles and things keep occurring in people's lives, because it's trying to teach you a lesson of, hey, I'm trying to teach you this. I want you to remove this from you, because that's your soul, that's your intuition. And your rational mind is going, oh, these events are happening to me because I'm an awful person, or someone put a hex on me, so all these XYZs, right? But your intuitive self is trying to show you, no, these are going to get you closer to God. However, the rational mind is going to guide you, is going to lead you to that path, but you have to walk down it. And it had to walk down it with the fuel from the heart space, not the fuel from the mind space, which would be taking from the divine, from the internal, rather than taking from the physical around you, and moving forward. Always seeing through what the ego is going to hide, which is difficult to learn and do, because the ego is always changing with you. So even as you progress to higher consciousness and whatever, your ego is still going to be there as a perception, and it's either going to work with you or against you. And that's just a training of self that you have to go with. But that's the in-depths of it. Um, but yeah, that's the ins of outs. Yeah, nothing can replace you. That's the thing. Feeling like you can be replaced is a self doubt of issue, where you don't have enough self esteem, and you feel unworthy for any position, and that you are under an individual, which is not true. Um, if anyone says that you've been replaced, you really haven't been. That's just a lie. That's something that the ego wants you to feed into, um, in that sense, for the rational mind at least, to make you feel victimized rather than being the victor. But that's the thing about like being replaced. You can't. To be replaced is just to be moved again, to be placed again. You know what I mean? To change a location. So you can always change a location, but your pattern, your soul print, if you will always remain the same. The only thing that happens is the grooves get deeper. When the more your soul matures, the deeper you're able to go within yourself. Instead of it being like an extruding like wrinkle, think of like if wrinkles do sink in. I don't know what I'm thinking of that would like plop out. It doesn't matter. But think of your soul getting wrinkles basically, and the more wrinkles your soul has, the deeper it is. Not actually, but as a metaphor to kind of not ramble about it. That's what we're talking about. So I probably just took on a little journey there on that one, but That's what's going on. But our soul like matures. That's why there's no such thing as an old soul. There are souls that are more matured than others, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're old. Time is eternal. Your soul is also eternal. So there's no old or young. There's only wise and blind in that sense, or wise and dumb, if you will. Um, and when wise souls are there, it's not because they've lived more lives, it's just because they've retained more wisdom. They've remained more open in their past lives to accept the unseen, the unacceptable, the taboo in that sense. And they're able to relay it to those who are younger in that sense or less mature. And again, maturity is not like making poop jokes and whatever. It's the amount of wisdom that one has. Because it's like, I get it, like people saying old souls, it's a nice like way of talking about it, but if we're going to speak truth, we it's the mature soul and the immature soul. The new souls are just immature. They haven't sprouted yet. They haven't been planted properly. They're only young and lost because they have no direction. They're reluctant to move. They haven't moved. The divine happened, but they haven't released themselves internally. You know what I mean? But yeah, I get why it's said. I don't know. I don't know. Being someone that just is on the journey for truth, and it's just like something about it is like, what are you talking about? Old soul, like what? Don't you know that souls are eternal? That it been here. It's been here before you even know that you were here. Shit was here before God was here, dude. Let's talk about it. It's always been in space. It's always been in Mother. Before it even crossed God's mind, it was within Mother. How did it get into Mother? Through another masculine motion, through another thought form, another pulse, another ripple. Going back to the feminine, it's an infinite loop. It does not end. It's eternal. From the eyes opening to the eyes who close, everything matters in that sense, right? But you know, it's just of how open you were through your lifetimes. Doesn't matter about your past life actions or whatnot. It matters about what you're going to do now in this life to correct yourself on a more stable path. Whether that stable path is getting you to know who you are truly, or just a way to live life, you know. So that's why some people run out, don't give a shit about their life, and they go experiment and die young, you know. They haven't quite, they're not wanting to, they're not, it's not even that they're not, well, they're not ready, but they're not ready by choice, in the sense of they don't want to delve that deep yet. They still want to have fun. They don't want to go down the mature path. That's why a lot of people, when you tell them you're going to go on a spiritual path, they say like good luck. They might not get why they say, they might not understand why they say good luck, other than like the magic aspect or whatever, just from an outside point of view. But it's really their soul telling you good luck. Hey, we're gonna miss you, because now that you're gonna mature, we're not gonna resonate anymore. And I might be a few lifetimes behind when we catch up, so we'll have less and less time to spend together, which is also gonna help that soul grow, and it's also gonna help your soul grow as well. But it's all about getting back to that full connectivity of the wholeness. Um, not the oneness, but the unification between you and your mother and your father, with you in the middle, and how you're smushed in between those two rocks at all times. Um, yeah, it's not something that the flesh might get, but on the soul level, it's soul communication. Whenever you hear something that you don't quite like get, but it hits you, that's because it's a soul recognition. It's the soul telling the body, get ready for this, because that soul is connected to mother, which is going to fuel your body. That's where your DNA upgrades come in, your crystallization. It comes from that initial hit within that soul value. And then that says to the mother, hey, we hit this point where it's time to go, it's time to move forward, it's time to evolve, like let's get new data. Let's move forward past these lessons. We've disconnected from this, we did this, we checked this off the checklist, so let's go to the next step. And then boom, that happens. Then things start changing on the physical, from mother to father, with you in the middle. um but yeah, that's what goes on with that, because it's all just a big joke. Like, if people really could just sit down, I say this, but I say this very lightly because I don't want to be responsible for any sort of brain busting. I mean, the majority of us here, I know we're not gonna get brain busted. Obviously, we talk about this show all the time, but I don't want to. This is gonna get a little funny. Regardless, if people could just understand that they reincarnate after they die, and that we just come back, like there's not like a permanent end. If we all truly like remembered that mentally, we wouldn't be afraid of death. Like, you wouldn't have the thought, this is where the danger part comes in, but you wouldn't have the thought of like, oh, I have road rage, let me not run this person over, to let me run this person over because they're gonna fucking be born again anyway. That's the two like sides of the spectrum of people who like grasp it. Some people will just be complete assholes, which is why we have murderers and things of that nature in this life, because they're like, oh, they're here to learn and stuff that nature, because that spirit's what's charging that individual. Or they're on the side that's afraid of death, which would be like in the middle, because they don't want to, um, they don't want to just disappear off Earth, because death has been considered obliteration and being sent to oblivion, rather than dying, which is dying, and just changing into a new form. Um, and then you have those who just aren't afraid to die because they know that they'll reincarnate, whether on this realm or in another, they'll be somewhere else. Um, and that the lessons that they learned, like they're just okay with their timing, because they learned all that they need to learn. Even if they themselves, in the flesh aspect, thinks that they needed more lessons, their soul knew that they hit a far more expectancy. That's why some people just randomly die. Their soul signed up for it. They learned all the lessons. They lived up to that certain age, and then they just had a freak accident. But that freak accident was planned by them when they were talking with mother and father. Let me go out this way. Let me learn this lesson. Let me allow this impact to happen in the realm so that I don't have to go through it anymore. Because if we're going to talk about it in the realm of internal life, we have to walk every path of life to have a fully mature soul. So you have to be that murderer. You have to be that label that you despise the most. Either you already have or you have to, right? Um, but you see the implications that you caused on this realm in present tense by seeing other people do it. And it ends up being this projection point to where you see it as, the only reason I disagree with this is because I know this is wrong. Not wrong in the grand scheme of things, but wrong to me as an individual. And that's where your past life karmas come into play. But for your soul to be fully mature, you have to. Which is funny, because some people you'll say that to, and it's like, well, I'll never kill someone. In this lifetime, of course not. You've solidified that already. In the next life, you don't have a choice. In the past life, you can't change it if you wanted to. It's all about accepting all those parts of you. But that disagreement has to happen in one lifetime, um, or and can even be solved in the same lifetime as well. But it has to happen. That disagreement has to happen for your soul to have that full experience. It already had the agreements. So things that you disagree with now in this life, you've probably already done in past lives, which is why you have that disagreement by nature. You've already done those things. You know not to do them. You're disgusted by it because it's part of your creation. So now you understand that. You see why you don't like it. And now when you see that when you don't like it, you either go through that this whole lifetime and try again next lifetime, but you get into the middle of it and you balance it out and you see the reasonings for why someone would need to do that and the reasonings why someone wouldn't need to do that. And you stay in your lane and say, I can still agree or disagree, but the goal is to become neutral with it again. To see that there is no fault, that occurrence had to happen for that individual soul to grow. They had to go through that. It's what they had to experience. Without that experience happening, they would be incomplete. And this is where it starts to get very spiritual, and you either grab people's attention, make them confused, or meet people who will deny it till the cows come home. But that's what's happening, is that soul maturity. So yeah, that 3-year-old had to die in a really horrific way because it was part of that soul development. Sounds fucked up, but that soul asked for it. We won't understand that on a fleshly value. We won't get why their soul had to go through it, but we went through it. You went through it. You may go through it in a future life. You don't know yet, right? You only know when it happens, and you can tell what's happened based off your reaction to something, you know. So it's all about just learning. That's why you're not supposed to change who you are. Just become better at being more adaptable with what you have. Don't change your whole being if you don't want to. Just become more comfortable. Sometimes you're in denial of parts of yourself, and sometimes you really just, are struggling to see that change. Regardless, you gravitate everything towards you because of an opposite at some point. Your energy field holds all your memories. Your aura holds all of them. If you can tap into it, you can remember just about fucking anything. That's how people get your past lives and shit. Reading your aura, your energy never has changed. The same fingerprint, the first fingerprint you've ever had on this, in this entire world, not just on this planet, but in this entire world, meaning everything that we can see physically, no matter if it's infinitely expanding or not. I don't remember. I haven't seen anything about space not expanding. I've seen things about space like decreasing in size, which would technically be, if you want to talk about it in like a esoteric way, God's blinking, where the galaxy would just enclose on itself and then reopen as the Big Bang, which would be pretty funny, which is probably going to happen regardless. But anyway, like if you can read an aura really well, if you can read your own, or however you can figure out your past life, that's how it's connected. Because the first fingerprint you've ever had on this earth is somewhere within your DNA patch. That's why you got things within you. You get mad. Like, I don't know why I get mad at this, but I just don't like it for some reason. Because it's ingrained in you. You have to dig deeper into yourself to see what that disagreeable part is inside of you, by accepting that you've done those actions. And this is like deep shadow work. This is like going through the flame. And really cleansing yourself, making yourself pure, doing it in that sense. And that's not for everyone. This is like deep level shit. This is where you're coming to face that everything in this world is happening because of you, no matter what your viewpoint is, of it being good or bad, it's all happening because of you, and because a part of you needed to experience that, whether action-wise or visually, you have to experience it in some way to get both sides. And not a lot of people are ready for that conversation. So we really have to watch out for that. Which is why it's, again, like, we don't judge people on their life journey at all. I don't care if it's religion. I don't care if it's their lifestyle, the things that they like. I don't judge them. That's what they have to go through. The fact that that soul has to go through it regardless is quote unquote punishment enough, because the flesh is always going to have that combative side of them that's saying you shouldn't do this, why did you do that? Because that's always going to be an opposite side. No matter how much you agree with something, there's a part of you internally that's going to have that disagreement. So You know what I mean? Even if someone says, "Oh, I enjoy doing it," there's a part of them that's like, "No, you didn't." You can't cancel it out. You can never be 100% one side of a thing. You're always going to have this smallest bit of you that's still speaking that full truth. It just takes an amount of admitting it, you know? And that's where guilt comes in your moral compass and how that's formed, and that's all that stuff. Um, but it's all just to help you. It really is. It sucks because some things that happen to people is awful, and it hits you. Your empathic abilities, if you want to talk about that, it comes from past life experiences and present life experiences. That's why some things, even though you've never had it happen to you in this life, you feel deeply for. You're connecting to a past life energy. You say something very profound that you don't normally say, or speak like something, but you say it, right? It's a past life part of you coming into yourself and speaking that out, not only for you to hear so you can remember, hey, I did this before. Let me show you how I feel now after doing those actions to heal this part so that the world in its whole entirety can heal. And as well help that other individual and get you again to remember. So that's what's going on with all that. It's a really funny game. That's again like people getting scammed in the world, people getting shot and all that shit. It's awful to see and witness, but we've all done it, which is why we don't like seeing it. We're tired of seeing it because we've learned the lesson of how bad it was. We got tired of doing that to individuals, so we ended up quitting, is what happened, right? And now we're on that opposite scale. We've just tilted the other way because we had to. So now it's time for us to get into the middle. And getting into the middle isn't determined by how many people go to the other side to balance the scale out. It's a determination of you being in the middle of where you're at now, because you can be on the full side of things, not being, I don't like seeing these things around me, but you can be in the middle enough of that situation on that point that you're standing. You can be centered in yourself or self-centered enough to say that just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but I'm not going to let it affect me because this has to just happen. And it's unfortunate that it has to happen, but I can't change it. And my worry about it is only going to add more reason for it to exist because I'm putting that pressure of not wanting it, because part of me is still trying to avoid that act part of it. But just understanding that and being as center as you can with it is how you get your balance. It's not about where the scale is tilting. It's really where you're at, because that scale is, you're standing in the middle of it. It's around you at that point. You're standing inside the bowl. The bowl's around you. So it's about how centered you can be in that sense. But yeah, I get that interesting. You do what you have to do in this life. Whatever protection measure you truly have to go to on your end is your own choice. There is no right or wrong way of doing things. That's why I don't like when people say that, oh, you're doing something wrong. No, they're doing it right. They're just they're learning the lesson that they're learning. It doesn't matter if you deem it's doing wrong, if they're doing it right or wrong. They're learning what they need to learn, what they're able to learn in this life. Um, well, that's what's going on with that. Mm-hmm. In their own way. You're good, Daniel. We just went on a journey as usual. We went pretty far out into the waters. We're back on shore again. Different journeys, unique. Yeah, exactly. We're all on different journeys. That's the funny part about it. Is just, I don't know. People and their way of life is so interesting. It really is. The more you become, I'm gonna turn this light on. The more you become detached with um, how you wish things to move rather than like how they are moving, the better things actually like move. Like, I don't know. That's work with the rational mind. Um, Learning to really free yourself of all that stuff is a step to really manifesting what you're desiring in life. Because a lot of your manifestations are blocked because you deem someone being something. Like the fact that you have to say, I'm not going to be one of the bad millionaires, means that there's a part of you that doesn't want you to be a billionaire just in case you end up ending like that. Because you're still attaching that sort of title to them, to that label. So you know, changing that mindset and just saying like that there aren't evil ones, there's just people not doing things that I would do personally with that amount of money, and I would do differently with it. Just keeping that balance, removing more and more of the labels off and getting it as raw as you can get it, um, because then that shows its true light, and then that just helps you become more acceptable. And not acceptable in other people's terms, acceptable to yourself, because you won't be as apt to let things linger on your mind of, oh, I made this mistake, or this sucks, or however, because that's like, those are like patterns and algorithms being played in your subconscious that make you respond like that. Yeah, I'm Libra Sun, Aquarius Moon, and Gemini Ascending. So I'm a triple air sign. I got all three. I know my stuff and I keep it balanced a little bit. I argue with myself a lot and I stay detached. I don't attach myself to anything. Anything that I learn on a daily basis, I try not to hold tightly to, because there's probably a better someone else who's learned it in a better way. Yeah, just lessons in different awareness of self. I like being aware of self. I really do. Um, I am all for helping people on that path because it's a super fun one to go down. It really is. When you start to learn like why you act the way that you do, shit just stops happening to you. Like it doesn't have that implication anymore of things happening. You just experience it as, oh, well, this is happening. That's funny. It's dude, when you take your time with that detaching. I took you out to pretty deep seas with what I said, but that's basically where you're heading. Is getting to that actual point of neutrality where nothing ends up bothering you. You're just experiencing things and you're creating what you want to experience. So if you don't even have an actualization of you creating everything around you, that's your first step that you have to really grab onto, because you're manifesting every second of every day. There's not a secret tip to manifest. The fact that you're seeing things in front of you is manifestation. The fact that things are happening around you is a part of your manifestation. These are things inside your brain that you're creating externally. Everything that's happening, right? So when you grasp that, work with that bit by saying the only reason why I'm in these situations is because I've manifested them. How do I manifest the outcome that I'm desiring um, in this situation? Because you have that answer. It's just a matter of where your focus is. But yeah, it's important to I say it's important because I've been doing it for so long in my life that it's become like a daily practice. I even if like I'll get mad at something, or not even mad, agitated is the correct term. Sometimes I get mad, right? But I get agitated at things, and I'll sit back and be like, why am I mad about that, or why did that agitate me? Immediately after, like not even like to calm myself down, I question it. And it's not even like to calm myself down, but it's to keep my brain from going like, oh, this happened, so something, so you did this and bad things and yada yada yada. It's controlling that rational mind and breaking down what happened so that your rational mind doesn't like run off with it and go crazy. Fart. I sound like Leo. I have my North Node's Leo, so yeah. But my Aquarius keeps me detached as fuck. I like I don't know. 'Cause it's so weird. Because the more I read my chart, it's like I'm I don't know. It's the Gemini and Libra that like go head to head, but my Aquarius makes me detached to the point of always like choosing a higher road at some point. Like I can't just leave an issue still. I have to break it down and figure out why the fuck it's happening. Like that's my goal in this life, I guess, is to just really delve into the mentals of people. Because I mean, I studied a lot about the brain in like middle school. I did a lot of like behavioral stuff in middle school, and even like probably like in fifth grade summer. But I got really interested in psychology. I've always been interested in psychology and in philosophy and stuff of that nature. I had a teacher in middle school tell me about the flea on the dog theory, and we had like a 4 hour conversation about it. He was a philosophy major, and I was just talking to him because I love this stuff because it's what life is. Um, and we're just being watched over, observed and seeing if we're ready to leave this little testing area to move forward. Um, I love psychology, dude. I love psychology. Psychology is one of those funny things because usually people who go into psychology have issues themselves, uh, so they can solve them. But yeah, eventually we will, and we, meaning like as a species, will not be stuck in this like physical form for as long as we would need to be. Which is the process of things speeding up in time. Because eventually, humans aren't going to be like the issue. Um, because just as things form infinitely forward, it's also going backwards. So the stage before humans would need, that's what's being healed right now, basically. I don't know. Talking about it gets weirdly weird at some point, and I'm pretty much at a weird point with it. I don't want to talk too deep on it. Unless we want to go this far, because I can go this far if we need to. Like we're healing our reptilian, our animalistic brain because of our last like evolution point. Um, and basically, the next form of our species from the bacteria that we grow from to whatever's after this stage. If we end up getting there, would be to remove um, the rational self completely, which would involve a less strenuous experience than we have on an Earth with that relationship with self, and more of building that trust and that rapport with the feminine. Uh, immediately. So it would be more of like actually walking the divine path um, at those higher next stages. And that's why you have like 12D beings that can go down to the 8D, and those 8D spirits go into Earth realm in certain vessels to help them evolve and shit. Right? That's where all that goes from, where you're walking more and more with spirit to the point of you end up being the energy that's moving through these people to remind them of who they are and get them to that point so we can all be up with mother and father and create that new realm, however that's going to be. You know what I mean? Because even so, let's throw this out. Let's say we all get connected to God. Whatever our version of God is, on an individualistic way, the way that we see the main source, right? When we all get there, we would then collectively create a new world, right? Based off of everything that we've already learned and healed. So we wouldn't have anything that would be experiencing in this lifetime, which sounds kind of crazy because we think we experience it all, right? Wrong. We would no longer have the experiences that we're having on this realm to any greater or lesser degree, and we would be having whole new experiences. What does that mean? I don't fucking know. Think of something that hasn't happened on this realm, and anything that you think of right now has already happened on this realm. Because the only reason you can think about it is because it's happened at some point in your existence. Because you're able to grab that and take it. You're able to resonate with it and grab it. You digested it. It's because you had it. You imagine a jaguar busting through a refrigerator. That's probably happened to either you or you heard about it sometime in a past life, you know. But the way that you think about it is you see refrigerator and you think of a modernized version because that's all we have to see currently. So you're not seeing it as you would have described it in the past life. You're now using your past life envisionments to your current time labeling and mashing them together. Um So that's what we're dealing with. If we're gonna talk about it deeply and spiritually, I can take it a step further. There's so many steps we can take it further. So it's like there's so much you can talk about with this shit, dude. Like spirituality is one of those when you digest it, it really just makes you feel okay. And not many people talk about this aspect of it, and it's because it is scary. You have to go through this point where it's like you're scaring me, you're brain busting me, because how long have I been here? Oh, an eternity. This, you might feel like it's your first lifetime, but that's because you spent your past lifetimes jerking off, and this is the first lifetime where you're taking it serious. So welcome aboard, right? That's why you feel lost and confused. For those that, you know, they don't get born, they're not born with this wisdom, they're not born with the abilities, it's because they haven't took it serious enough yet. They haven't hit those points. The people that are born with this knowledge immediately, like out the womb, they've done this shit so many times. They've had so many serious lifetimes where they've wanted to break this key and get to know the truth of this, of everything, that they've hit these higher dimensions and hit a question that they can't answer. So they come back down and they're like, oh shit, I don't know how to solve this. I've never been faced with this before. And these events could be intergalactic battles. That battle that you're having on Venus, where you're shooting this six-legged, like anthropod, right? And it brings up a scenario that you've never gone through, a feeling that you've never felt. Time pauses in that instance, and you go deep within. You come back down, and you experience similarities, and then you can go back up and defeat that thing. Whether you're fighting aliens or whatever the fuck you're doing out in the galaxy, that's why you're here, because you're trying to resume something that you weren't doing in this realm. You were outside of it, outside of this world, into the pyre, into this other area that other parts of you are already at, and you're just coming back down and going back out to get those pieces to complete the full puzzle. You know, this goes further than the multi-theory, uh, you know, the multiverse theories. This is full on, like, there's not a way to describe it other than really the multiverse theory and the multi-self and all that stuff, because that's all we have to compare it to on this lifetime. But truly, it's more of a daily practice. Like how we sleep would be that same thing for them, right? Or like how we blink would be that same experience for them. Everything happening in that quick flash, you just close your eyes and get back in it and do it. But time is so condensed and slowed down here that it feels like forever. So that 1,000-year war that you're in the galactics hasn't even passed, um like its first 100 years yet. And that worry of time running out comes from, that both sides of your soul, the part of your soul that's still with the divine in that higher self, and the part of the soul that's getting information, from the physical, from the mind down to the heart, back up to the mind, from that aspect, rather than coming from the source, from pyre to the heart to the mind, right? Because you have both those channels activating. It's, so you're like, oh, I'm running out of time, I'm on this mission or whatever, or you're here and you're like, oh, I feel like I have like a specific thing that I'm supposed to be doing. It's because you're already doing it, and you're learning lessons here to basically complete what you're trying to worry about on a soul level. You know what I mean? If you're really going to think about it in that sense. But I've talked to people all over the place. Like, people are down here as galactical wizards who have just literally like frozen time in their areas and their battles to come down and learn lessons and defeat the physical realm version of it, so that the spiritual realm version of it gets weaker, because they're already fighting it in the spiritual sense. And they need to come down to the physical to be in the body to do the groundworking or the root work where it originates from. Right? But whether you remember that or not, that's why you're here. If you have an actual soul, that is. If you're lab made, you don't got one. How do you know if you're lab made? You'll know. You would know. If you are here and you're digesting this information and you're like, you're following your soul and you're following your heart and you feel tugs and you get like emotional pulls and feelings and stuff, you have a soul. You won't be able to feel without it fully. How do you know what this is true? I've experienced it. You don't have to believe me. I've had multiple occurrences in my life that have proven what I'm saying to myself. So you don't have to agree with it. But I've gone through things that prove to me in my own stature, in my own life, that these things are going on. Which is why I can speak so deeply about it. I don't bullshit around it. I get down to the points of it. I alchemize it. Like what? I've had 3 near-death experiences that have proven these things to be existent to me. Where I was fully pronounced dead in one of them and then came back like a day later. That have proven to me all these things. Everything that I've talked about, from intergalactic, the wars. Did you not pay attention to anything I just said? The wars that some people are pausing in. The fact that we're here, the soul recognition, the fact that we've done everything that's existing in this realm. This realm's a loophole. We're only stuck here to learn lessons. Once those lessons are learned, we're gone until we need to come back. Those lessons are never going to be fully finished. And that's something that we have to understand in order to complete it. Because once we understand that there's nothing that needs to be complete rather than ourselves, once we all recognize that, or at least 3% of the entirety of the souls, right, on Earth have to be in alignment for that to make a full change. Like, there could be 3% who are not aligned. I don't know why I didn't say 97%, excuse me. But 97% of people have to be aligned in that way for that no longer to occur. basically. That's the number that I've been given. I've noticed a few other people say 97 as well. It's either some people say 2%, some people say 3%. It depends, really. It's somewhere between there. It's probably like a specific decimal that we just don't have the technology to get to or really care about on this physical realm. So, no, I didn't see a war. I seen what was going on within the soul, within the vessel, the one-sidedness of it all. The war being to get the beast to calm. Whatever is attacking needs to subside. It's not a war in the sense that you think of both parties fighting. The war is one person fighting, and one side fighting, excuse me, and the other side just standing and waiting. One side's being completely ignored. So this war isn't even of violence. It's a war of attention. And that's why on this realm, it's a war over your mind. Because if you have your mind occupied, you can't pay attention to what's happening. Which is why it's on this realm so condensed down into the physical, because the brain can only produce things that are seemingly physical in that illusionary state that we're in, where we're seeing things in 3D, but we're really in a 2D realm. We're always going to see one dimensional less with this human mind because it's captivated on seeing things from one point of view, which is seeing it 3D. If it doesn't exist in solidity and it's not solid, it's not going to have an existence. Gas in itself is solidified still, even in its most gaseous state where it's almost fully invisible. If you can see it moving and it's able to do something on this realm, it has a physical state. It's part of matter. That is something else that has to be digested. Is everything on this realm is physical, but not in the literal sense. It's physical in the sense of the mind is creating it. It's really lucid and can be interchangeable, but that's breaking the subconscious down to fucking that's a subconscious thing that if you want to go down that rabbit hole, we can. But again, it's another one of those rabbit holes that's just like, it's like bend this spoon. You can bend the spoon if you want. It's all immaterial. But the fact that we're on this realm and we take everything so seriously, it's all material. Just watch The Matrix. It talks about all this stuff that I'm saying, but in a way more simplistic version. Like, actually. Like, that's what it's trying to explain, is basically all this shit I'm saying. But not as deep. Because again, not everyone on this realm is ready for that deepness. So they have to learn about it in lighter ways. You can't find the Matrix music. I think it's on YouTube. That's okay. Hold on, I'm typing something, my bad. I'm glad you get it now. It's a fun little thing to take people out on if they're ready for it. A lot of people get defensive though. Well, that's an egoic way of being. If you need to have what I'm saying being solidified into you, you would need to experience what I've experienced. And the only thing that I can do to allow you to experience what I've experienced is by talking about these experience, by what I'm talking about. The justification that I have is because it happened to me. And I'm sharing my experience from a stance of wisdom. Showing that I've learned and seen and digested the events that's happened around, and I'm able to translate it for others if they want it, you know. It doesn't have to be justified. That justification comes from you. I have explained what happened. If you're wanting to know about the near-death experience that caused it, there's not a way for me in this physical form to explain to you how the exact ways of things happening transcribed for me to be able to translate the wisdom here. Is there a topic or is it questions? We're just talking about shit right now. Because the fact that I landed on a tiny rock after testing gravity and cracking my forehead open and dying for a day, how I would relate that to experiencing what I experienced within that short period of time, I remember and I have visuals of it, but for me to explain how those two correlate, that's another story. I don't know how to do that perfectly. I don't even know how to start with that. That's a whole thing that I worry about whenever I'm out of this body, which would be the next evolution of, again, why did you come to Earth? So you can learn these lessons. Now that you learn these lessons, here's new things you can experience. Here's your answers for why these things occur and why things had to happen in that sense. Right. We all have our own experiences, our own way of seeing things. So, you know, we only see this realm from one angle. That's why we come together and share our individualistic angles that we all see without a judgment to form it so that it can be shown in its true self. And then we can move on to these other realms. You know, whether this is within group environments or the entirety of the world or just simply yourself getting to know yourself in that way, that's what's going on. I don't know how to give you what you're wanting. That's on you. I've given all I can to express what I'm able to because I don't know what you're wanting from me. I've given all that I'm able to. It's up to you to take what's given and create out of that. And if you can't, then that's okay. It's just not meant for you. It was meant for you to hear. And you can visualize it after that. A description of the experience. Well, which one? Because I can tell you the experience that I had. But it wouldn't tell the entirety of how I know all the things that I know. Not everything is told in a literal sense. If the picture speaks 1,000 words, when that's telepathy. When you go to these higher realms, you'll get images in your mind. You'll hear voices. You'll get you'll just start hearing shit in your mind that's coming from nowhere. Flashes of colors and things that download literal information into you so you know the things. It doesn't make sense to us on a physical sense, but that's because we're limited to what's actually showing in that sense. I don't know too much about ley lines, actually. Okay. But again, like, I've had 3 of them. So which one are you wanting a description from? The one that I was 5, the one when I was like 15, or the one that I had when I was 18? I technically had another one, like 5 months ago, I'd say 5-6 months ago as well, but it all depends. The one when I was 18, the one when I was 18 didn't go into too much of what I talked about. When I was 18, I ended up Uh, shit. It was a car accident with me and my friend. He wasn't paying attention to the road. And he was texting and driving. We hit a pothole and we swerved. And when I blacked out, and had the NDE, because I was in the hospital for 3 days, I think. 3 days awake. That I know of. Do I know the full time? No. I didn't really get told about my experiences because it just keep my nerves down. I had seizures. Anyway, when I was in the hospital for that time being, it was just me in this blank square room. Um, it wasn't that I couldn't see anything, but I could see like the lines of the cube, and it was black on top of black. So he had the complete darkness around, but there was a lighter darkness, for lack of a better word, that was surrounding me in like a cube formation. And it was just, I don't know how long it was. It felt like an eternity. It really did. But it was flashing just two lights. One was orange and one was white. And it would just consistently flicker on and off. And I just started getting information. I started knowing more about synthesis, like synth, like music wise. I started learning more about the connectivity within energy, about how oxygen in itself is consciousness, and blood is the fueling that we're using. Blood has fire in it. Blood can have different types of scriptures in it that fuel you, because all blood is a liquid that courses through you, that holds more information of you. And that information doesn't have much to do with like your DNA, but that has a lot to do with your ancestry. So when someone says we caught you red-handed, or that's, or someone has like bad blood or something, it's because of the experiences that they've gone through, and their whole red-handed thing is like being, seen for it, obviously, right? But our blood has a lot of our past. So if you, it's like the same thing with bones. Like some people say, "Oh, I just got it in my bones." That's what you're talking about. Is bits of matter that's made you up. Every part of your body has an experience that it connects to. What about cancer? Cancer is just body waste that isn't being cleared out of the body. It's mucus at the core value. 15. Man, I don't want to be telling you about my whole life. Come on. We'd be here forever. I don't have to prove to you it. If you're trying to connect deeper, cool. But truly, at the end of the day, it's not going to inform you on that much. The one I had when I was 5, I was in Saturn, and I was around the 6 Saturnian angels. When I was 15, I went to the, it was more of an Egyptian point of view. It doesn't describe how I know these things, but I've seen and I've experienced through different forms of communication what I've talked about. And I've had people see their own lives happen in certain ways. There's people that you can talk to on deeper levels that have experienced these things on a more connected level. Me personally, I haven't gone through an experience where I've seen myself in that sort of battle. I've probably already passed that part of me, or it hasn't happened yet. Regardless, all I know is where I'm standing at now is a mediative point. Not really to balance anything out, but to just balance what I know out, make more sense of it so I can continue out of this body. The questions that can't really be answered until pondered upon and really felt, that needs to happen through the flesh. That egoic war between whatever I went through past to current. For protection, you can use cloves. You can use cinnamon. You can use salt. The Crystal City is a nice place. I had a lot of Egyptian experiences. Now that I really think about it, a lot of them were more Egyptian. Yeah, it's all just a bunch of crystals. But yeah. I don't know. But yeah, depending on how deep we need to go with certain conversations, I'm pretty good at alchemizing it. Uh, I mean, yeah, you can do that, but going straight to God is an internal thing. And if God is telling you to use sages and crystals, then that's what then that's what God's telling you to do. If God's not telling you to do that and telling you to do something different, then you'd probably do that instead. It all depends on if you're going to listen to God or the ego, I mean, not the ego, but the rational self. They both make up the ego in that sense. So it depends on that, because you're always going to God. You're moving because God's fueling you, but it depends on if you're following what God said or if you're following the rational mind. And that's where you really have to be attentive to self and knowing who you are, and not just seeing yourself as a one stature or a one feeling state, you know. Yeah, same thing here, hidden. I had a lot of Egyptian and native. Exactly, they are stepping stones. Not everything is going to be learned immediately. It takes time for things to move forward. No, I didn't sleepwalk. I astral projected. I couldn't fucking sit down and when I was a child when it come to dreams. I'd either be controlling my dreams or fucking stuck in really weird situations, to say the least. But I didn't sleepwalk. I would scream in my sleep, but other than that, not really much. Well, meditation is hard to grasp because you're distracting yourself with caffeine and YouTube. Meditation is really just going into the mind and seeing what's keeping it clouded. Because I forgot who said it, but someone said if you say that you can't meditate for 5 minutes, then meditate for 30. On why you can't meditate for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So if meditation's hard, meditate on why meditating's hard. And you'll find your answer. And then you'll be like, oh, well, it's not hard. It's actually because I just want to do these things. And, then you end up just finding a way to work with it. Because nothing really in this life is hard. If you can do it on one stage, you can do it to completion. It's just the rational mind that talks you out of it at certain points. What's this about? No, I don't do yoga. I used to do Zumba, but I don't do yoga. Mm-hmm. Water holds wisdom, and all water that we use has been here since the start. So, you know, you're just gathering that wisdom. Well, that's because you've attached it to it being a chore. You know, you kind of have to figure out why you think meditation is a working thing, or why you have to work to do it. Meditation is just a mindset that naturally comes to be. It's not something that you sit down and force. Um, so you kind of have to realize, you kind of have to figure out why you've attached it to that sense, to like break it. You need to clear your mind, sit still and listen, be still and listen. That's how you hear your guides. So to clear your mindset, figure out why your mind is so jumbled up. It's because you have something fueling it that isn't being solved. So you got to figure out why you're blocking yourself from feeling and thinking what you need to feel and think. And once you do that, then you'll be able to hear your guides more clearly. Yeah, Steve, I do that all the time. I will zone out and go into a completely meditative state when I'm walking. And it's an interesting feeling because that's you literally being sucked into the divine realm while consciously, doing something. So that's a whole experience to have. Well, yeah, don't identify as being a black sheep, and then you won't have to worry about being affected by the troubles of what that brings. You know what I mean? Like don't partake in the poison if you don't want it. You don't have to feel proud about it, about being something or becoming something. Just like go with the title completely and be over it. Just know that you are not only that but everything else around it that exists, and choose to not let it be something that you be like let it be something that constricts you on the forefront. Excuse me. Because a lot of issues come from people, like when people, and it's like the victim mentality, like, oh, I'm a victim, or I don't have this, or the lack mentality, or like I'm this, and all these things. We end up attaching ourselves to the label and then facing a consequence of either things not working out or things of that label happening to you. And it's not, I mean, it's a growing situation for sure, but it could be avoided if simply let go. But if you are called to go down those paths, you are called to go down them. I'm just called for neutrality. I'm called to walk down this path and to talk about it. That's just how it is. Because labels are the main issue. If we didn't have labels, we wouldn't have to worry about nothing. We really wouldn't. But we have labels. So now you're afraid of a snake because you've labeled this a snake. You've seen actions of what you would describe a snake to be, and now you're afraid of them. Or same thing for spiders. And I don't like bugs because you've identified bugs with this other thing. So now you just don't like it because now your nervous system's going to respond to the way your brain's, controlling the realm around you. You simply just have to stop. In order to fix your life, stop. Actually, that sounds stupid, but that's what you do. Stop identifying with things. Stop allowing a connotation to happen. But in full actuality, allow it to be. So stop restricting it. So if you're afraid of it, let yourself be afraid of it. Stop trying to fix it unless you actually desire to fix it. You know what I mean? Don't do anything for anyone else. Do it for yourself. But really, like, removing those labels. Like, some people say bugs are gross and they're creepy crawlies. Well, now the word creepy crawly is there, and you've attached the word creepy to one thing and crawly to another, and you've mashed those two things together, and you've now created an idol for that title. And you're like, oh shit, I don't like this. Not realizing that you're God creating things that are scaring you because you wanted to like identify it with it, which is really funny when you think about it. Because now next time you look at a spider, it's like, oh, I'm scared of you. Wait, well, I fucking created you to be this monster because in my brain I've attached the way you look to things that make me uncomfortable. So I'm God and I've created something that I don't like. I don't know how to fix it, so I gotta go talk to the other God, the higher God, the higher version of me to figure out what the fuck I'm doing wrong. And I ain't getting nothing that makes sense to me because it's still fucking scared. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's going on. If we're gonna talk about it, we just don't get it though. You know what I mean? Like, we've created this sort of like connectivity to things that end up like, I don't like loud noises. They scare me. So now loud noises are gonna happen in this reality just to scare you. Not just to scare you, but to get you to stop being so scared about it. Like, damn, really? So I'm fighting myself because I'm creating everything I don't like. And now I have to like laugh about it and like stop doing it. And even when I stop doing it, it's still gonna happen. Like, okay. So what's the point of me stopping? Like, you know what I mean? It's a funny cycle that we're in on this realm. If we really could just like, it sounds stupid, it really does, but the simple solution is to stop. It's just not a very good solution to say at the start. You kind of have to go down all these fucking rabbit holes. Exactly, Jennifer. Because you literally are. You're creating everything. You've been granted the power of judgment. And no matter how grand or small that judgment is, it's going to affect something that you do. Whether that's just a bug or you saying that someone's evil. You know what I mean? So you got to redefine things. And that's a subconscious work, you know. You can listen to subliminals all you want, but the only way to change the subconscious is by actively doing something. You have to be under it because your subconscious is beneath your conscious. So once it comes to the forefront, you face it then, and then your subconscious goes, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not that scary. And then it goes to a different one, like, oh, I'm not scared of daddy long legs anymore because, you know, they just look silly. But then a tarantula comes around and you're scared of a tarantula. Well, it's the same thing, it's just in a different form. So now you have to go through it again and learn about, you know, getting it from that area. It's really funny. That's just what's going on. Yeah, there's always that fear to be worked through. Some things you don't have to experience on the physical. The feeling is enough. If you can work through the feeling state, you won't have to worry about it hitting the physical. The harder it is for you to learn about it from that feeling state, then it becomes more solidified until you have to face it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's through external media or a personal encounter that you have. But yeah, you know, we took a really interesting trip. Exactly, because you're defining it to be impossible. It has no definition, it has no set anything. But the second that you assume that it's going to be one thing, it sets it into that, right? You now have hard coded that to be in your reality. And you can change that coding, but it takes time. And that time comes from how, what you're going to put your energy into. Changing it into something better by switching your mindset, calming down, or switching it into something worse by putting more fuel into it and allowing it to just go crazy. But don't define anything. That's hard to do, but the more you practice it, and you practice it by allowing it to happen and then giving it a rebuttal. So it exists. Why does it exist? Let me figure out why this exists. I flinch whenever I see this bug. Why do I flinch when I see the bug? What does it do? Oh, it scares me. Why does it scare you? Figure out the why, and you're good. That doesn't mean it's not going to go away. It just means you figured out the solution. You know what I mean? The rest of that work is the rest of that work. But once you find a solid solution for why, everything else can transpire on its own. But I'm probably going to get off here. I'm probably going to get off here in a second. So if anyone has any questions or wants 2-card pulls, let me know. And I'm going to hop off and do my thing. But yeah, we got the tarot deck, animal deck, shadow deck, angel deck. Whoever needs cards pulled, let me know. Or any other questions even at that fact, and I'll answer them. But yeah, we've had a good stream. This has been a good one. I'm gonna edit this title of the stream while live and see if that works. So I have to look at my phone for messages. Can I actually do this? Oh, I can. Oh, wow. All right, nice. Is that the right way of spelling it? Can you pull from their shadow deck? For sure. What on? And I can get you. Let me put some emojis up in here. There we go. But yeah, I can pull 2 from the shadow. Really? Really? Is it breaking? I'll take 2. Yeah, pick the deck, Choose what deck you want the message from. I'm not gonna choose that for you. But yeah. Just let me know what you want it on, and I got you. I got you hidden. So just in general, oh my god, I can hear myself. Let's not do that. I'll get confused. But yeah, I got you for the shadow and for the general. But yeah, Fel, what do you want it? What's the subject for the reading on the shadow? And I'll get you as well. We'll take the bottom and the top. Why not? So, hidden, your first card from the shadow is Ghost. which is memories, attachments to the past, events, desire to live in the past, connectivity with the other world, important information, and rumors. There may be a past event that's coming back with 5 and 4 being 9. This is definitely a test of self. That's so funny that Beelzebub and Astrologue comes out with Cancer energy. So this is asking. This is a transformation of feeling that you're going through at this time. When it comes to your situation, and you're really just being asked to pay attention to the evolution that you're going through. With Beelzebub and Azathoth, it's a. Let me make sure I'm on the right one, right? Yeah, I am. All right. It is deception, a trick, blackmail, a temper, cruelty towards a love partner, unpleasant journey, manipulation, bureaucracy, self-flagellation, victim presence, like a direction, a domineering attitude, repression. So again, there's just some like repressed feelings that are kind of coming up that are battling. These could do with like an addictive pattern, something that's continuously happening within your life, or a situation that kind of keeps occurring. Really sit down and delve through it, and allow yourself to see the deeper senses of the situation. But there's this feeling maturity, this emotional maturity that you're gonna receive from it, that you're trying to receive from going through these situations. So really pay attention to the shadow work, what you're doing. Pay attention to the feelings that come up. Really journal about it, and see what the shadow work's about, so you can pinpoint it, and gain the wisdom from it. But yeah, I got you, Phil. I can get you for current energy. And yeah, I can get the best. I can get the rest of you as well. Am I gonna be going live tomorrow? I might be. But Phil, that one was for the hidden. That was for hidden. This one's for you. Usually I end up just resonating for like whoever's in line for their reading sometimes, but you know, readings can always resonate with other people. We're all going through similar things. I may be going live tomorrow. It all depends. I will try to go live tomorrow if I can remember truly. But yeah, let's see. Let's get the bottom of the split this time. So we have Lady Pingerswick, which is 38. And that is 11, which breaks down to 2. 37. 38. Which is otherworldliness, psychic ability, gentleness, artistic, love of music, intuition, vision, discretion, a successful resolution of problems, a good period lies ahead. There is a time for real of a good period. There's with 38, that's 2. Hold on. Yeah, it's 2. Take time to move forward in a more uplifting approach. Like have more innocence, have more knowledge, and more trust in self. The way you're walking down the path, you might be getting nudges of, oh, I should do this, I should do that. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. This feels right. All those things. Pay attention to that. Be more gentle with yourself and allow your intuition to kind of guide you in this time. But there is the resolution of problems that's happening for you. And then 32, which is 5. This could be agitating your 5 senses. Just being overwhelmed, being stressed out. However, right? Most sorcery's tools, we have strong will, assessiveness, diligence, detail, attention to detail, a well thought out plan, goals and means, strength of the mind, professional skills, and a perfect fit. So definitely know that you're going on the right path when it comes down to working through whatever you're working through. It's like it's a mental battle. The thoughts that you're having about something, maybe you're used to jumping over into conclusions and stuff, but this is the path that you're supposed to be going down. Allow yourself to embody it and calm the mind more. If you tend to get overwhelmed by the external, focus on the internal more. On your kids reconnecting, I can't do that with the shadow deck, Destiny. But yeah, Scorpio, what did you want to pull on for the shadow? And I'll get you. Yeah, that one was yours, Fall. I appreciate love that. Thank you. But yeah, Scorpio, what did you want the reading on? And Destiny, is there a better way we could ask that question? Because again, the external is not really going to be answered from this. It's all about the internal. Do I have to do this? I probably do have to do that, don't I? Where's it at? There it is. Yeah. What do you want? What did you want the 2 card on? And I can get you one from the shadows. I can't do that yet. I'm not gonna worry about that. Just general, I got you. You can get a general from the shadows. I might upload like a shadow reading at some point. I don't know. Those are always fun to do. Not the same thing. I don't know. It all depends. It all depends. All right. So we have for you. Let me flip to it first. Goodness. 77. It's not the last card, is it? It is. That's hilarious. Anyway, you have first Magic Circle, which is security, protection, confidence, concentrated energy, initiation of successful venture, solidity, and comfortable environment. With Magic Circle being the first card and 78 being 15, which is 6, there's a time for a spiritualization. To know that as moving forward on a spiritual path is going to be of benefit for you. There's protection, there is completion, and there needs to be a higher road looked at. Even with 24 being next, Daughters of Men, which also is another 6, you're really being asked to see things from a higher point, and not just seeing it, but moving forward with that higher point, and enveloping yourself within that higher stature, that spiritual self, that almost omnipotent energy. But it has a lot to do with your relationships. There's a protection, there's a clearing of the relationships that you're in, and there's a removal that may be happening But in all, it's a clearing, it's a revisiting, so that you can detach from it, and see things, the spiritual lessons from that. So really, focus on your relationships at this time, whether they are conscious relationships or ones that just kind of happen on the fly, because they're having this spiritual meaning, and there's this a higher notion that's calling for you in that sort of sense. It might be to show you what you've already made through. It could be showing you past cycles of lust, and not lust towards like any specific individual, but lust in the sense of like the part of you that desires to experience the bad in life, or to put you in a lower stature of self. You know what I mean? Yeah, just the same thing with the shadow deck applies with the tarot. It's not about an external thing. It's always about an internal connection to self. So we can do a general for sure, but all things are an internal matter at first. And whoever sent that cash up, I appreciate, love you, thank you for that. I don't know if you're in here or not either, but I will just simply say it because it popped up. I usually I don't get notifications of that, but for this time I did. But we can get general for you, Destiny. I'll take the bottom and the top this time. Yeah, so just kind of see what's causing. It's like not even like a bad way. Always enter the curiosity state as a child. So have a childlike mind. Just really be curious. Like, why am I talking to this individual? Why did I cross paths with this person? Why do I feel like talking to this person? Why am I here? And just running with that and allowing it to speak to you in a childlike way is super important to do. Not even just for you, but for everyone in general to kind of like get into. But Destiny, we have vulgar magic with this Leo, and it's fuss, trouble, ignorance, a character for inner strength, quackery, a minor trouble, vanity, uh, proclivity towards leviety and oversimplification. There is a deeper look that needs to happen, that needs to be happening. This could have a lot to do with leadership positions or taking a independent stance on things, being codependent on other people's views, or being afraid of other viewpoints being taken badly. Um, a like a hiccup almost. But this is to show you like an inner strength. With it being 8, vulgar magic being 8, it's also a trial that's happening. This is the starting of a test. This is the phase of a test, the first building of a test, so be aware of that. And then we have Cycle of Saturn, which is 11 and 2. This has a lot to do with your masculine energy. How are you moving forward in not life, but in specific scenarios around you? We have with Saturn, Cycle of Saturn, excuse me. Wise uses of resources, discipline, control, emphasis on career and money, introversion, and pragmatism. So this is a discipline to get you to almost like have patience, I feel. Because 2 is all about action and 8 is to test, and both those together is 10. It's trying to get you in a higher state of your masculine energy, or the energy that you output to move forward on this realm. Really, really see your stance on situations around you at this time. Because again, even with Saturn popping out, this is a huge test. This is the reality around you kind of pushing against you to show you what you don't want, to give you ideas to push you towards what you're actually desiring. But being more disciplined in how you are not acting or handling a situation, but how responsible and disciplined you're being, um, and being aware of what's happening. So instead of worrying about doing something right or wrong, just see it as this is happening. What can I do to ease this? And if I don't have anything in my mind that I can think of to ease it, what is blocking me from taking my independence into my own hands? What is blocking me from choosing a choice that I want to choose, but is not as easy to choose as it should be? You know what I mean? Like, focus on the blockages of what's keeping you in, like, almost like codependency, in a state of not moving forward, in a state of almost victim instead of victor. But yeah, I am, and no worries, Destiny, so I got you. I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna move and groove. But thank you all so much for truly being here. It's always a wonder. I truly enjoy every second being here with you all. I love talking about this stuff. I love trying to help you all out and just hosting an area for people to have good vibes. But regardless, I'm gonna head off. All this stuff's there. The email, the donation links if you want to, the website I have. The description has the Malachi Z workbooks. But regardless, I love you all so much. To the moon and back tenfold and forever. And